Hello and welcome to Unexplained Possibilities Podcast. I'm your host, Melvin the Crimson Taurus, and with me is the third-eyed mystic herself, the ever-so-lovely Neima.
Hey guys.
Neima, it's hot over here. Is it hot where you are right
How
now?
hot is it? Yes, I think we're in the 90s, probably.
Oh,
What are you guys at?
not the 90s. Not like that. We're like 88, but it's a little humid.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just make me sound like a little whiny girl. Thank you. It's hot over here. Oh, yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
hot here too. We're in the 90s. I was cooking an egg earlier on the sidewalk.
Yep.
So, yes, I think it's fair to say you are tougher than I am.
Yep.
Didn't
I'm just
even
used
want to
to
give me, you couldn't even, like, just say, no, Mel, you're plenty tough. Nope, you just went straight for the jugular. Yep.
it. I can't stand cold though. I can't do snow or anything like that.
Yeah, I
I
don't
live
like cold
living
weather
out.
at all, but I've never seen snow.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, I know some people find it hard to believe, but I've never seen snow. It's like, come on, man. I lived in LA most of my life. How am I, you know? And then I went up north, so it doesn't snow here. So, but whatever. It is what it is. So, we have an interesting show today, one where I'm slightly not as confident in my knowledge as I would other things. Saying that though, you have this pretty much unlocked because this is right up your alley, and I'm talking about psychedelics and philosophy.
Yes. I love it.
I love it.
I'm obsessed.
Yeah, so I struggle learning this. It makes my head hurt a lot, and I just want to lay down.
Yeah, that's probably why I like it so much because it makes me think and it makes me go in circles. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, okay. So you go ahead and go in circles, and I guess I'll be trailing along right behind you. But before we get into that, I do have a few things like normal that I want to talk about. It's not even a few things. It's really two things. And the first is what happened in Virginia this past week. As most people know who are listening in the United States and possibly Canada, in Charlottesville, Virginia, over the past week, it was a bunch of mess that went down. It was a it was a march happening, and these people, they were originally marching to stop the taking down of a statue, Robert E. Lee. And if you know your history, Robert E. Lee was the general on the losing side of the Civil War. The people marching were white nationalists, white supremacists, alt-right, whatever they want to call themselves, and Nazis, neo-Nazis. And let's be honest, they're pretty much the scum of the earth. Am I wrong in saying that?
I mean, I can't understand why how these people still exist. Like I thought this was cleared out. Like I can't believe there's still people that think this way. It
It's because
blows my
ignorance
mind.
ignorance will never truly go away. Like that
Right.
simple. All right, so they're marching in protest of them taking down the statue, and people who are listening, they might get upset about this, but these are facts. They had permits, you know, and this is a free country allegedly, and you can say what you want as long as it's not considered hate speech, as they say. But then that's such a gray area, and the First Amendment protects you even if it is hate speech. I mean, unless you're saying like 100% go out and hang some black people and, throw some Jews in the oven, you have to be fairly specific. So they're marching and they're speaking their nonsense, but the thing is, oh, you know what, guys? I need to stop the stream real quick. Alright, we are back. Sorry about that, guys. Neima, what was I saying?
I just went blank right now.
Well, you're not a big help.
You're welcome.
Oh, yes. Okay. So, yeah, some people might get upset, but, they had a right to protest. They did it the right way. We may not agree with what they were protesting or saying, but they were doing it the right way. They were within their rights. Are they scumbags? Yeah, but they're still within their rights. And, it's hard for me to fault them and get upset in that particular case. Now, the issue started when this group, I guess they're calling themselves anti-fascists. Is that correct?
I think so.
Yeah, so they showed up and pretty much just counter-protesters showed up. And, when that happens, it's kind of like trying to mix, water and oil. It just doesn't go. And things are going to erupt. And while I appreciate the counter protests, them trying to do whatever it is they were trying to do, which was, I guess trying to say love, not hate, and all that good stuff, they did it the wrong way, and it caused more harm than good. What they should have done was they should have kept it peaceful and stayed on their side of the road. And this is where the third party comes in, the police. And the police, they should have organized it or demanded that the two sides stay separate, and the cops should have been in the middle keeping a barrier, and that way mess wouldn't happen. Let them scream, let them shout, but don't let them get close to one another. And I think that would have solved a lot of issues. What do you think, Neima?
I agree. I think if, it's just really hard for me to understand this type of stuff. Because you have a group of people on either side who really are not going to change their thought process. Like, they have no open mind whatsoever. They're sticking to what they know. So they all meet up and yell at each other. And it's like, and then they end up fighting. It's like you can't beat something into someone. Yet, like, people aren't going to get the point if you're violent. And if someone's already made up their mind about how they feel, you guys are just, I don't know, just talking to thin air. Like,
yeah, pretty
it's
much.
not going anywhere.
Pretty
And you're
much.
it's violence for no reason. Violence for no reason.
Then, of course, things escalated. And this is what just caused everything to just like implode, and where people were just fed up was when this guy, he was in his car and he ran down about 30 counter protesters, also leading to the result he killed a woman. He ran her down and she died from her injuries. Other people were injured. There was a report where one guy, he was there with his wife, and he pushed her out of the way of the car and he got run down. I mean, that's crazy. And this moron, the former head of the KKK, David Duke, my word, what a piece of work. Actually said he was glad that woman was killed. And it's like, are you kidding me, man? Like, do you value life that little? So it was a giant mess. But yeah, and of course, Trump came out and, and it's funny because I can't believe he doesn't see what he's doing. He's doing the exact same thing he criticized Obama for when he first made the statement on what happened in Charlottesville. He said that it was blame on both sides, which he is right. But at the same time, he also should have said, like, these these Nazis, the neo Nazis, are in the wrong. They're in the wrong. I mean, they're just in the wrong. And he should have condemned them, and he should have spoke out more. But he did not do that in his initial press conference about Charlottesville. And then the second conference, after the pressure got to him, then he said that the white nationalists, white supremacy, and neo-Nazis, all that stuff was terrible, it was bad, it needed to go away. But then in the third conference, he comes back and he starts blaming both sides again. And people are upset about this, and they're upset because he's making it seem like it's okay to promote hate, essentially. It's okay to go ahead and run some counter protesters down and stuff. Go ahead and spew your nonsense about racial superiority and all that dumb stuff. And he's literally giving it the okay. And he's giving it the okay because that's his base. Those are the people who voted him in. And he's like, yeah. I mean, especially when you have three races backing you, the head one being Steve Bannon. My word. It's just amazing. He could have had a giant impact. He could have done something where he would have, for once, seemed favorable to the American people, to the majority of American people, not just the minority that still support him, not that 30+%, but the other 70% or 60+%. But he didn't do that because he can't. Because he doesn't want to upset his base, the people who put him in there. And that says a lot about him.
Yeah.
In regards to them protesting the statue of Robert E. Lee staying up and everything, like I said, I don't have a problem with that. I do have a problem with that statue being on public property. That's my issue. It's like, come on, guys. We need to think this out a little bit more. This is from a sign where racial tension was extremely high, and you're dealing with the slavery and so much hatred, and you shouldn't keep reminders of that around in public. I feel that Confederate items, historic items, yeah, they should not be destroyed. I don't think we should destroy history. That's a whole nother issue that the US has, but I don't think we should destroy history. But they lost. And when you lose, you don't display that stuff. Do you think in Germany they have Nazi flags and Hitler statues everywhere?
No. I mean, I just don't. I don't mind. Yeah, like I say keep it, but don't. It's just causing confrontation.
Yeah,
So.
it should be in a history museum or on private
Exactly.
property. That's what I
Exactly.
think. Yeah, that's how I feel. I think they should put them in history museums or private property, not in public spaces.
Right. It's just adding fuel to the fire.
Exactly. And maybe that's what they want. Maybe they want this chaos because it distracts from other issues.
Yeah. Do you think they're kind of creating this type of distraction to prepare for like a big hit or something?
Well, you know, it could be a lot of things. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be a big hit or anything like that. I think it's more so national things such as the Flint water crisis or another oil pipeline being made for no reason at all, like DAPL, which shouldn't have been made, or the Keystone pipeline, or how Trump yet again failed in his negotiating with NAFTA and stuff like that. I think they're distracting from those type of things that will actually improve people's lives. Oh, and also Pence actually went to Australia and spoke to a firm that is now lobbying for him, and they're talking about buying part of the US infrastructure. So yes, they are actually selling the infrastructure of the US to foreign bodies. Yeah, very ridiculous. So, little by little, democracy is dying unless something radical happens. And when you have Charlottesville things popping up, it serves as a distraction. Racial tensions are high again. People are paying attention to that, throwing the blame game, and this and that, and not looking at the more important things.
Yeah.
That's that. I just wanted to get that out. Neima's over there like, I didn't sign up for this.
I know. I can't stand politics. Like,
I know.
It's just so frustrating.
But I did give you fair warning.
Yeah, you did.
But something you can stand, and you did sign up for, is this eclipse that's going to happen August 21st.
Yeah, that's going to be really exciting. I encourage anyone who wants to know if they're going to be able to catch the full eclipse to download the app. It's called Smithsonian Eclipse 2017, or I'm pretty sure you could type in Eclipse 2017 into the App Store, and that'll give you a map of where the total eclipse is going to be showing from Portland, Oregon to, I'm going blank now, to South Carolina. And it'll give you the specific time to view it as well.
So, unfortunately, we over here in California won't be able to see it. We'll have a partial, which it's just not the same, but, it's something. And this is a pretty special thing, and it's really cool that it's happening in our lifetime. I didn't think I would ever get the chance to semi-experience a solar eclipse.
Yeah, this is the first time it's been, oh God, I had the notes from the last podcast, but I think it won't come again for another 15 years or something.
Oh.
I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but.
Yeah, so, and if you guys were listening to the last podcast when we had Ashman and Ali on from Fire and Water Astrology, they made note to tell us that it's a good time to send out those positive vibes and you'll get them back tenfold. So be happy, positive, get that energy out there, and feel good, get your vibes up, and be prepared for when they come back. And also, you want to get your crystals ready as well. Charge those suckers up. Oh yeah, did I ever tell you, Neima, that Rose has crystals as well? She does the crystal thing.
That's cool.
Yeah, I have no idea what crystals she has, but I know she has them, and she'll use them for a little bit of healing and all that good stuff. So yes, much like the tattoos, I am missing out yet again. So. But
well, we know
it's
what to get you for your birthday.
No.
That was so funny. You're like, no.
Let's move on to our main topic here. Dun dun dun. Yeah, something that scares Melvin slightly because it gives him headaches. I am talking about, of course, the psychedelics and the philosophers. This is something that always confused me. How does one become a philosopher? Like, do you get a little certificate or something that says, congratulations, you're a philosopher? How does that happen?
I think what happens is you start to question your existence, and then you make your own certificate and you print it out, and then you put it in a frame in your room.
Oh, so
and all of a
it's
sudden
just
you're a
like,
philosopher.
hmm, I'm not sure if I'm actually living or if I am a memory of someone who once lived and I'm just a walking dream. I am now a
Exactly.
philosopher.
Exactly.
No, I'm serious though. I've always been curious about that because, philosophy goes back thousands of years to Plato and Aristotle. And I'm just, how does one just become a philosopher? Like, how does that work? I mean, do you just literally question everything and say a few wise words and wise but confusing words and you build the following and it's like, hey man, this guy knows.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's how it works, huh?
Hmm.
And the psychedelics, where does that come into play?
Well, psychedelics kind of open up your mind to questioning stuff like that. So, psychedelics are a gateway to open up these type of questions like what is real, what is reality, what are we made of, is there a god, is there no god, is this just a figment of my imagination, is this an illusion, dream state, stuff like that, and then you become a philosopher.
Now, this is what's interesting about psychedelics too. How did the early philosophers, or maybe not even a philosopher, but just the early people, how did they like know what shroom or whatever to eat? I mean, did they just randomly start picking stuff and just eating anything and they went on a crazy trip?
um See, so Terence McKenna kind of talks about this in Food of the Gods. What I can grasp from it is probably from an evolutionary standpoint. So let's just say, like when we were apes and we would try food, we automatically have an instinct to either swallow it or spit it out. So we try different foods and we see what works for us. So these apes would keep going back to this mushroom or to whatever it is, and they'd keep eating it. So, I mean, evolutionary wise, you just evolve and you keep going back to something that you enjoy. So maybe for them, it kind of opened up their mind or made them trip out. So they're like, oh, this is good stuff. Let's keep eating it.
Okay. And then what if it's actually already imprinted in us and we're able to somewhat know? Meaning that, like, we can tell which shrooms are good, which ones aren't.
Yeah, yeah, possibly.
So, but again, like I said, this is not my field of expertise. And like everyone else, I am still learning and finding interest. I don't know if I asked you this the first time we spoke about this. As a matter of fact, it was your first show. I don't know if I ever asked you this, but what was your first trip like?
Okay, I'm having to remember. It was pretty awesome. Let's see, yeah, it was psychedelic mushrooms. I took the average dose, I think, and then it was maybe like a little bit more since it was my first time. Um, so yeah, the rooms turned into a hologram pretty much. All these lines, very strict lines everywhere, so it didn't seem real at all. Um, I think I was watching Futurama, and it was crazy. It was crazy because it made complete sense. Like it was amazing because I guess Bender was playing God, and he had created these little communities on top of him. Like he's floating through space, and he had like these little planets on top of his belly or something. And it was a direct representation of kind of how the Bible is. And he didn't know how to play God, so he'd like accidentally try and help them, and he'd end up destroying the whole community, or he'd try and give them water and he'd end up flooding it. Like
Wow.
So I tripped out. I was like, why? Like right now, if I was watching this sober, this wouldn't make it just be like another cartoon. It wouldn't be this serious. But yeah, I was tripping out. It's pretty deep.
So, would you say Futurama now holds a special place in your heart?
No, I didn't really watch it after
Oh.
that, but
Well, you did your job this particular episode. Now I'm done with you.
yeah, I'm Rick and Morty though is pretty intense. That's something people should watch when they're tripping too because
You know,
Rick and Morty has a lot of concepts that are like, what?
that's what I hear. I very rarely watch cartoons now. I mean, like I'll watch The Simpsons. That's just my show. And every blue moon, I'll catch a South Park episode. Every blue moon. And you as you know already, I'm a geek, so I like the anime. But even that, I'm very specific about. So yeah, but Rick and Morty, huh? It's a good trip out show.
Yeah, and it's just hilarious.
All right, you guys heard it here first.
Hmm.
That's I don't know if this is good or bad. We're giving out shows to watch if you're on a trip.
Sorry. But it does have to deal with psychedelics. Because, okay, let me relate it back. So, psychedelics will, you're going to, okay. So the last trip that I had, when I told you, I think I did like, I felt like I tricked myself into taking acid.
Mm-hmm.
So in that one, I could literally see the person I was with, he literally split into 7 different people. So, yeah, I'd see three people walking left, and I'd see the other 4 of him walking right, and it makes you open up your mind to like, okay, so is that like a parallel universe, or is that like a different dimension of his existence? Like, it makes you question stuff. And Rick and Morty, they have tons of different dimensions, tons of different worlds, time travel, everything crazy like that.
Okay, I see what you're saying. And getting ready to go to the philosophy side of it, I can also see how that would make you question things. So, like you said earlier, it really is a gateway. Like it is opening the doors into something a lot bigger. And since you're able to somewhat recall it, because I'm assuming you don't recall everything you see, but what you do recall, it's stuck in your head, and you're like, "What was that? Why would I see that of all things?"
Right. Yeah. And it exactly. It's like, what does this mean? Like, and even like the sky would break up and you'd see tons of different faces from all over the world, and you'd see your friends come up, you'd see people you don't know, and it makes you think. It's like, wow, like we must be all connected somehow.
Wow. Okay.
Literally. So
Wow, that's much different than weed. Um, I'm not saying I smoke weed. I don't. It's just from people that I speak to who do, and yeah, they don't get enlightened from it. They just usually mellow out, excuse me, and they'll get hungry for whatever reason. Do you get hungry after a trip? Like, it's like you're going on a journey and you come back and you're like, "Oh man, I need to eat something."
I don't remember. I don't necessarily think so. I think with weed, yeah, you definitely get the munchies, but psychedelics, I don't think so. You definitely get more energy though. Like the next day, you'll wake up and you'll feel really light and like motivated. Like there's no sense of hangover or anything like that.
Okay, and it's no mental exhaustion.
No. So, no, definitely not. Like you don't feel brain drained, I would say. Like your brain doesn't feel drained in any way. You actually feel more creative, more happy. I don't know. It's just all around good.
Yeah, so it must release some happy endorphins then. The happy hormone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm Yeah, but I know in some other like MDMA or ecstasy and Molly, it your brain releases that chemical, and it releases it so much that the next day you have a come down and you're not able to be as happy. Like, so you'll have mass, like really heavy depression because your body, that chemical or that gland was strained because it released so much of that happy endorphin,
Hmm.
and that does not happen with shrooms at all.
Okay, so it's
So
no addicting properties to it.
it is non-addictive. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure MDMA and stuff like that it probably does. That's probably why, because you want to be up all the time, and once you lose that, I guess that's where addiction comes in. That's a good point.
There we go. I do know a few people who want to try some shrooms and see what happens. More power to them. Anyone out there who's going to try it, I always say just do it in a safe environment and have someone around who's sober who can call 911 just in case.
Yeah,
Oh, you don't
yeah, I
follow
would
that rule, do
definitely.
you? You're like, oh, huh, I probably should
I
do
mean,
that.
I think you definitely have to be wise about what you're doing, but I think the main rule, especially with psychedelic mushrooms, you have to be in an atmosphere that is positive. Like you have to be with people that are positive thinkers, and that because you can, when you're on shrooms, you definitely can take a dark road, and it'll open you up to where you could see all the different paths that you could possibly take in this reality. So you can go down a dark path, like you could say, "Oh, I'm going to do this," and then you could get really dark in your head. But you have to have people around you that will kind of talk to you out of it and say, "Oh, you know what? Everything's okay. Just be positive." So you can take that and bring it back up and more positive.
Okay.
So I'd recommend if anyone's going to do it, just make sure you're in a very positive atmosphere. Like there's nothing, no negative energy, no negative people that would bring you down or um, weird you out or creep you out or anything like that. Just try and stay positive.
Okay. So, you know who probably would not like the psychedelics very much?
Who?
This Frenchman whose name, well, his last name I have trouble saying, Jean Paul Sartre. I can't say his last name to save my life, but it is spelled Sartre. And the reason
Sartre.
the reason he may not like them is because of his idea that people are condemned to be free. And essentially, it means that there's no creator, there's nothing. Like, we're kind of just here. Yeah, we're just essence of whatever. What do you think about that? Like, what do you think about that philosophy? Where we can pretty much do whatever we want without consequence.
Ooh, I mean that's pretty dark. I would love to read that kind of concept, and that kind of reminds me of this other book, Why the World Does Not Exist. Um, but no consequences, like that just that's crazy. That's a crazy life to live.
I personally don't agree with them. John Paul Sartre. I'm just going to call him that. Sorry if I'm butchering your name. You're long gone, but there might be someone listening and they'll get insulted by it. So sorry about that, guys. But yeah, I disagree with him 150%. I mean, maybe not so much about the creator thing because, in ways, we're our own creators. And I believe that without life, there is no death. Without death, there is no life, which means that it's always something and everything is a part of it. Like we're a part of something, and he said we can act without being determined by our past, which is always separated from us. And I disagree, because we learn from our past, and we shouldn't act. Our past actions determine what we do in the present and future, and we can't act without it. We need our past, and it dictates our present and future.
Yeah, I would agree.
So, but what do you think about him saying there is no creator?
Um, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of up in the air. I don't like. I don't even know what that means. Like, what does he mean? There's no creator. He just means like there's no guy in the sky, or he means there's no like.
I'm assuming he means there is no God watching down on us and telling us to act this way or suffer this.
Yeah, I don't necessarily believe in a personified God, so I kind of agree in that regard. But I don't know. That's a kind of touchy subject.
Well, come on, let's touch on it. This is why we're here.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I just believe in like everyone has something that connects everybody, and it's just it is what it is. Like the the idea that this isn't real doesn't make sense to me. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, so he also seems to be about choice. And like I said, choice without consequences. And we are able to do whatever we want, you know? And we act like we're not able to do that, to do whatever. If you want to rob a bank, go rob a bank. There aren't any consequences for that. You're choosing to do so, do it. And in truth, there are consequences for it. They're harsh consequences. But, he's taking that out the equation. I'm assuming he's looking on a deeper level, meaning that you're not going to burn to death for robbing a bank because your actions aren't bad. Which it seems to me he's saying there is no bad, there is no good. There's just whatever. It's just a neutral state.
Right. I don't know. I could kind of see that regard because let me process this. That's like an interesting concept because if you're on a level where you come into this universe and it's pretty much you really get to do whatever you want. Like you get to rob a bank if you want to, you get to murder if you want to. Like your life is your life and your decisions are your decisions, whether they be good or bad in a sense. And then there are consequences though in this reality because of the way this system is set up. There's consequences for your actions, and I think in um, in a bigger concept, so not just in this lifetime, there are consequences. So I think either way, you're supposed to learn from your mistakes or you're supposed to learn lessons from everything that you do. So, I mean, pretty much you can do whatever you want, but you're going to learn from it and you're going to decide what the next choice is going to be of what you want to do. Do you want to keep robbing banks? Do you want to, I don't know.
My view is, of course, good and bad, it is a man-made concept. It's something that we created as guidelines, not necessarily something that is universal. At the same time, though, what is good? What is bad? And I gave this example last time I actually had this talk with some guests, but there's a small village in some remote part of the world in a jungle, and they have to sacrifice a version to the volcano god so he doesn't get PO'd and kill everybody. So they find this poor chick and they toss her in there and they kill her. They don't
Mm-hmm.
know the scientific reasons why volcanoes erupt. All they know, or at least so far, is they throw a virgin in there, it doesn't go boom boom, and their god is
Mm.
appeased. Is that bad, or is that survival?
Yeah, right. It's survival in their terms.
And in a strange way, the chick they threw in there is a hero. So would she be the ultimate good because she's sacrificing her life to save everyone?
Right. And in their belief, then that's true. Then I guess that makes her a hero, right?
Yeah, then but what happens if the volcano still erupts?
Then oops, like I guess they didn't sacrifice enough people. Like
Yeah, someone's gonna be in trouble. Now let's talk about one of your guys. I know you love this person, Aldous Huxley.
yeah, Aldous Aldous. I say Aldous, but Aldous Huxley. He's awesome.
Yeah, why do you like him so much?
No, I just got I don't know. Like when I first started looking into this stuff, I mean, I guess he's one of the first people that popped up and he just did mescaline from peyote and had a pretty interesting experience and recorded it. And he, if you listen to some of his talks on YouTube, um, he goes into politics and the current drug system and stuff like that. So I think he just has some valid points.
Now, he believed in universalism.
What is that exactly?
I'm just going to put it extremely basic, but it's the belief that everyone will be saved. Okay, so I'll put it in the Christian sense. How in Christianity, everyone is born with sin, but because Jesus, gave his life for people and he's going to come back and he's going to save everyone from sin. Well, the chosen few anyway. The people who took him into their heart anyway. There we go. But he's there, he's going to be a savior.
So it's kind of like a Christian aspect, but everyone gets saved.
Something
Is
like
that
that. So it's just all humankind will eventually be saved. Yeah, so that's yeah, he was a universalist though, which I found interesting because from what I could tell, philosophers they tend not to associate too much with any beliefs. They're kind of a belief themselves. Like they take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, dab some of this, some of that, some of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, he flat out like, yeah, I'm a universalist. That's how I do it. And being that he has the belief that all humankind will be saved, per se, I wonder what he saw or what he knew that led him to that decision. Like, can you tell us about some of his experiences?
Oh my goodness. I haven't read any of his experiences that would be considered religious, like from a Christian
Well, it
aspect.
doesn't have to be religious.
His what is it? Opening the doors of perception. I think he mainly just goes into the like tripping out and seeing like the hieroglyphs on the curtains, like the chair, like everything having its own story and relevance into the atmosphere, like everything belongs and everything's, just chilling. But yeah, I don't know how that would relate to his belief as a universalist. I don't know. I'd have to look into that kind of thing because I don't think I've ever his talks don't mention stuff like that.
Oh, well, hey, look at that. You have a new avenue to search now.
Realizing human potential. Who are we? Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm gonna have to look into that.
Now, this is something too with, and this is again one of those things that I've always been confused about when it comes to philosophy. But why do philosophers speak in riddles?
That's actually a really good question.
I mean, darn it, I don't need everyone to be Yoda here. Sometimes I just need the answer straightforward. Just tell me what it is, but then I guess they want you to look inside of yourself to find the answer, and everyone answers is different.
Inside yourself or outside of yourself?
Yeah, but seriously, why do they speak in riddles?
To make you think.
I mean, that is so annoying to me and it's so confusing, and that is the cause of some of my headaches.
Yeah,
So,
it's
and you know
because your
what? You're
brain.
guilty of that yourself.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
oh, you don't even, oh yeah, I know I do it. I'm not going to try and hide it. I mean, sometimes I'm reading your Twitter and stuff. I'm like, what does any of this mean? What are you saying? Make sense. So, I mean, like, is it because it's just so much wisdom and they do want you to look into yourself for the answer? Or is it
I mean, I guess you go on.
or is it because they're just so out there from too much shrooms?
No, definitely. You can never. Okay. Um, I just think, yeah, they're trying to make you think it out for yourself. And I think in a lot of philosophy, I think they kind of realize that everything just goes in circles because in a lot of ways, that's how existence is. Like, it's like saying everyone's a hypocrite in some sort of way, and everyone's has some sort of ignorance about something that they don't know. And I don't know. It's just a lot of things kind of go in circles, like life and death. Like you die and then you're reborn, or it's like you need evolution. You die, go into the ground, and then something grows out of you, and then that turns into something, and that turns into something. It's like everything goes around in circles. So
So why not speak in circles as well?
exactly. And then like, oh, well, that makes sense, but it doesn't make sense. Well, there you go.
I mean, I guess we're just gonna have to leave it at that and just call it a mystery of mysteries. But it is something that I've always been curious about, and I don't know. I just want them to be more straightforward. But it also goes back to what exactly makes someone a philosopher. I mean, if all you need is to say a few weird stuff, like some crazy out there things that get someone enlightened and they think they know more than what they know, but they really don't. And I'm gonna get a headache now. This is
The
your
headache's
fault.
coming on.
This is your fault. I'm overthinking stuff.
Or is it?
No, it's your fault. I'm blaming you. So what philosophers have you studied up on that you truly
Oh my
enjoy,
God.
or you like the research and what they preach about?
You know how I am. I'm just like a Gemini bird. So I dip into this one, I dip into this one, I dip into this. So Terence McKenna, that book, Food of the Gods, is pretty interesting. He kind of talks about Albert Hoffman, who was the first to synthesize LSD, and I think he does mention Aldous Huxley and his peyote experience, and then he goes into all the different psychedelics along with the normal drugs.
Yeah,
So
let's talk
I
about that
don't
book
know.
for a minute because you're still currently reading it, and
Yeah. hmm
and what's going on with it? Like, what is it about?
Basically, just goes through drugs and psychedelics, the use of plants through human history, through the evolutionary process of our existence and how it advanced our consciousness.
And he also talked about how some religious leaders would take psychedelics as well, right?
He goes through the he goes through a little bit of Greek stuff, and he goes through quotations from the Bible. Of course, shamanism. He's really big into shamanism and how they use that. And then he goes through some of the cultures and yeah, I don't know how to say it. It's Minoan. Minoan civilization.
Say that. Spell it again. Minoan.
Oan.
Minoan.
Yeah, Minoan civilization. A lot of the kingships and stuff like that. He talks about those. Practicing using psychedelics, ayahuasca, mushrooms, soma, all kinds of good stuff. Opium,
So,
everything.
which philosopher had the biggest impact on your life so far?
Good question. I don't even know if he's a philosopher, though.
Oh, go ahead and drop his name.
No, I guess I would say the main thing that I'm really into is basically the study of Hermes, the messenger of the gods.
Yes.
So, and that's Greek. So, I think that's what kind of got me like questioning and researching everything to the point. If I had to pick a philosopher, yeah, I guess it would be Aldous Huxley.
And that just okay. So researching Hermes and just reading about him, and I'm assuming more than just the mythology, but his symbolism.
Right, because I think, yeah, because it's kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. I'm gonna stop talking.
You're gonna, you can't. We're on air. You can't just stop talking. It doesn't work that way. Wait a second. We actually have people listening. You can't just say we're gonna stop talking.
I know. Joking. Yeah, I just don't know how to explain it. If anyone wants to read it, like it's kind of like synchronicity. I have 2 stories up on my website on how I kind of got into it. But it's just cool to see how, I guess, the symbolism of a lot of stuff is laid out and it's all related in everything that goes on in the world and stuff like that. I think that's interesting to me.
Now, something modern day philosophers talk about, and I agree with them, is how unfortunately our abilities to understand the universe, to understand ourselves, they are being blocked by, well, the government, more or less. And our ability to use the third eye, our ability to astral project, our ability to understand, to believe in the unknown, so to speak, it's being blocked, it's being hampered, and we're losing it. That's simple. And oftentimes they say we need to go back to the basics. We need to turn off the TV. We need to get off the computers. We need to go out into nature. We need to meditate. We need to find our inner selves to understand ourselves and the world, the universe better. And once we do that, enlightenment will come. Do you agree with that?
I do definitely agree with that. I think a lot of it is fatigue. Like, I think a lot of people are so stuck in their like work schedule. Like, we work God knows how many hours a week, so we can't sleep. And when we do sleep, we don't dream because we're so exhausted. We have all these medications that are either keeping us up or down or whatever it is that are not letting us be natural human beings. So, and then we watch TV and we're just sitting there in front of a TV from all hours. And it's true. I think we need to go outside. I think we need to meditate. I think we need more sleep. And yeah, stuff like that.
Now, here's a quote from Aldous Huxley, and I want your take on this. Most ignorance is visible ignorance. We don't know because we don't want to know. What do you think he meant by that?
Yeah, I think he means that a lot of stuff is like the answer is pretty much laid out for us, but some of us don't want to believe what we see or what the truth is. So like going back to the political stuff that we're talking about, it's like we got two opposing parties who just keep yelling at each other, and we know that that's not going to get us anywhere, but yet we're still doing it because we just want to be angry. Like we just want to prove a point, or we just have some other emotion that we want to express rather than just coming to terms and just getting along. Like we have some bitterness or something crazy.
When you go on your trips, have you ever had a conversation with another person or being or even yourself?
I think most of the time it's myself. I don't think I've ever on my trips, I don't think I've ever talked to anyone else. I mean, well, that's kind of false, I guess, because when the sky opens up and you kind of see everyone that's in your life and everything, you'll see them pop up, and sometimes they'll say stuff like it's either to make you laugh or it's like, what are you talking about? like if you're trying to work through something that's ever happened to you, like say like a past trauma, sometimes those come up, and you're either going to work it out with yourself, or there's going to be like it's like you talking to you, or the me talking to the I, which is two different parts of, what is it called? The self and the I. That's what it's called.
The self and the I. What is that?
It's kind of like, if you've ever had, and they call this the God experience, I'm using quotation marks. So if you ever been in like a really crazy situation, or you're, for girls, it's like, I'm pretty sure guys, I don't know if guys get it too, but when your stomach flips because something bad is going to happen, or you've been going through like something really, really rough. So you feel like there's someone with you, like all of a sudden you get chills and you feel like there's a God presence with you, or you hear a voice and it tells you something, or you get this weird feeling, or you just have like this inner voice that tells you something. So I forgot what book it was. They kind of call that, I'm not sure which one is which, but the person that's talking right now, me, let's just say that's the I, or that's the self. We'll say the person talking right now is the self. But when I have that godlike experience, or I hear that voice that I'm like, what? Who is that? Like, why is it telling me this? That would be the I. So, and that's two aspects of your consciousness. Does that make sense?
It does. So it sounds like it's almost a spiritual body and the physical body. And when something is about to happen or danger is around, the spiritual body somewhat takes control and it's like, hey, physical, get out.
Yeah, exactly. It clicks in and it gives you that advice, or it tells you what's going on.
Okay, that's interesting that you say that, because it's almost like your instincts or a sixth sense. And people have claimed that they've heard, and sometimes they'll say it's a guardian angel, but they'll hear a voice and they'll hear it say stop, or nah, you shouldn't go over here. Or you do get that weird little spine tingly feeling, or your stomach gets upset and you just feel very uncomfortable, and it's like something is trying to guide you away from the problem.
Yeah.
Now, whether you listen or not is a whole nother story.
Correct. Hmm.
Unfortunately, that's where the stubbornness of man comes into play, where we don't listen to ourselves when we get that feeling.
Hmm.
Then,
Yeah, because we
it's
don't
like,
trust it.
yeah, it's like, oh no, it's nothing. I'm just being stupid for some reason. And that's an ability over time that we lost thanks to, well, just TV, uh, oh gosh, the media most definitely, and not really living our lives the way we should. We're stagnant in spiritual growth.
Hmm.
And that's something that philosophers do teach, a lot of spirituality. Not religion, but spirituality. And would you say you're a spiritual person?
I would assume so in that regard. Yes,
You
I'm
know,
spiritual. I'm not religious.
being spiritual, do you feel that, there is an energy around us? It may not be a quote unquote God, like and I'm just basing this from the United States perspective since this is a Christian nation. So, yeah, I hope you guys understand that. But being spiritual, you understand that it's not necessarily a creator God that you were taught or told, but it's an energy around you that you can feel, that you know is there, but you can't explain. Would you say that's a bit of your spirituality? Like you can feel this energy, like you just know it?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Okay. What would you say?
I have no idea. Um, yeah, I'm still, I'm still confused at myself as a human being, so I don't really know.
Well, no, that's fine because we're still growing. That's
Hmm.
the thing. We're still growing, we're still learning. I mean, we might have to have another life where we're still going to learn before we move on elsewhere.
Yeah, send me that list too.
Yeah, no problem. So, Neema, do you consider yourself a philosopher?
I mean, I don't know.
So you didn't print out your certificate yet.
No, I'm still working on it.
You're still working on it. What would you consider yourself?
A human being. Just kidding.
I don't think, has
I
anyone
don't
ever
know.
asked you that before? What do you consider yourself?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, isn't that that's such a good question. I mean, that'll make you think,
Yeah,
what do you consider yourself?
I'd be one of those people like, I don't do labels. I don't label myself.
No, one of them. Yes. Back to the psychedelics for a bit. Neema, I'm gonna put you on blast here,
Okay.
which may or may not be a good thing, so be careful what you say. How many different types of shrooms have you tried?
I've only tried one type because um, psilocybe cubensis is the golden cap, and that's basically the one that um, you wanna trip on. Amanita muscaria is the red cap, and that one's a little bit more complicated. And I remember in our first podcast, we kind of went over that one. It has
Yeah.
a little more aggressive touch to it, and it's a little bit more difficult to get a trip from.
Yeah, I was actually when Shay was on and Erica from Terror Wisdom, we spoke about Anami again, these names. What is it? Anamita muscaria?
Yeah, Amanita muscaria. Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about that and how it's a lot of symbolism there. How, I mean, Santa Claus has the colors. Reindeer allegedly ate them, and that gave the idea of flying reindeer because they were high as a kite. Um, what else is there? Mario. I mean, it's it's in Mario, the mushrooms that he takes. So what if the
Yeah.
Mushroom Kingdom, like Mario's just on a really crazy mushroom trip?
Hmm.
You know, it's interesting with that, and it would appear that the shrooms and people going on these trips, these psychedelic trips, it's all throughout our history.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, and you know what? This has nothing to do with anything, but I just thought about this. Again, it has nothing to do with anything, just a random thought. But why did God not want man to eat from the tree of knowledge? Why would he want to intentionally keep us dumb? And if he's all seeing and all knowing, he knew what was going to happen anyway. So did he just set us up for failure to begin with? I know that's a very random, weird thought.
No, I mean that plays in because even Terrence McKenna, he goes through the verses in the Bible that kind of state like how Eve came upon the tree of knowledge or whatever it was, ate the fruit, and they ended up knowing that they were naked. Like they became smarter, they could see more. And God automatically said, "Oh, okay, well now I'm kicking you out of Eden because I don't want you to eat of the tree of life. Two, because I don't want you to have eternal life and become like us, which is the gods or whatever it is."
Yeah,
So
it's just weird to me. And then of course the whole Tower of Babel or Babel. Is it Babel or Babel? I've never been sure. I've heard it said both ways. What is it?
Babel,
Babel? Okay, yeah,
like
the Tower
Babylon.
of Babel incident where man was building a tower to reach the heavens. They were working together for once, and God said, "Nope, that ain't happening." Sent some angels down, took it out, and then spread man and changed our tongue. It's like, why would you do that? Why are you such a prick?
Because he's jealous. He doesn't. He. I think if anything, like that's just a. Okay, so say there's a bunch of gods, and they're like higher than us, but at the same time, they're not exactly. Well, they're not higher than us. I think we're all gods. But say if we were to create something, who's to say we wouldn't be like assholes like that like a few years ago? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, we kind of are.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Exactly.
well, is
Assholes.
this art imitating life, or is it life imitating art? Hmm. I don't know. That's a good question. Okay, so I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. That was just weird stuff going in my head at the time. Okay, so back to the psychedelic trips. What was the shrooms that you take? You were saying?
Psilocybe cubensis.
Okay, and
So they have the property of psilocybin here.
yeah, I'm not gonna remember any of these names. I'm just not. Oh, now they're naming off shrooms in the in the chat. That's awesome.
Are they? Yes, awesome.
So, what is something that you're afraid of when going on a trip?
Hmm. I don't know. I guess it depends. Uh, like I said, it depends on the environment and who I'm with. Like because shrooms kind of just like it opens you up to a lot, and you just want to be in a good space with good people. Um, like if you do a heavy dose, I know when I was tripping out, like the last time when I thought I could have swore I tricked myself to do acid. I don't know how that happened, but I mean, I definitely couldn't. Like, I didn't want to be anywhere else because I'm sure if I tried to walk like that, like I didn't want to know what was gonna happen. It can get pretty intense in times, and I think you need to be in a good, safe environment, and then you need to be with positive people.
Ah,
So,
gotcha.
but I'm not. Yeah, I don't think I'm necessarily like really scared of anything, except like if there was like bad people around me, or if I was like on top of a building or something. Like I don't know if that would necessarily be fun.
It probably wouldn't be. That would be
Like
terrifying.
I don't want to be like I don't want to be in a fun house, you know, with a bunch of mirrors. That might be intense. Like in a maze, that oh my god. Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Since the psychedelics are a gateway, compared to when you first started, how much wiser, how much knowledge do you feel you've gained over the years from the psychedelics, through psychedelic use and
I'm
seeing
gonna
this
be
universe, how others can't see it, like how you perceive things so differently now?
so this is like religious, but it's like once I was blind, but now I see. That's exactly how it is. Like I think it's opened up my mind so much, and it's actually made me what is it? I got it explained on my website, but it's like I went from thinking a narrow way, and it just expanded my mind to so much possibilities. It's ridiculous. Like it really opens up your mind in every way, and it gives you self confidence, and it makes you believe in yourself, and it makes you just makes you fucking awesome. I don't know. But I would say it's changed my whole life. Like really changed my whole life, I would
And you
say.
met me, so haha.
Ah ha ha ha.
So you want a little bit of crazy synchronicity here? Um,
Yes, I
apparently,
love it.
apparently George and I, the one of the people in chat, we belched at the same time.
Whoa.
So
What does it mean?
I don't know what it means, but I think this is actually a good place to end it. Neima, drop a Neima-ism on us.
Are you buying the lie or are you selling the truth?
I like that one. That's a good one to end on. With that said, thank you guys for tuning in and listening. George Clark, thank you for kicking it with us in the chat, spreading some of your knowledge. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you guys.
Don't forget to check out Neima's website, which is www.thirdeyedmystic.com. And from there, you can check out her writing, thoughts, as well as catch past podcasts she's been a part of. And her various social media links can be found there and in the description below. Also, be sure to check out Unexplained Possibilities Facebook page and Twitter, and those links will also be in the description below. So, with that said, remember guys, there are things that go bump in the night. Go ahead and tell them hi. Bye everybody.